There's over 60 budget line items to build a single family home, but these 12 that I go over right now will crush you financially if you don't pay attention to each and every single one of these line items from the very start of your build to the end of completion. But most people don't know what 12 line items they are and what the numbers must be in order to crush profits and eliminate losses. Now, we've been buying land and I've been building houses for almost 3 decades now. We're at 29 years. And over the course of 29 years, yes, there's been modest increases on materials and labor throughout the course of time. But the overall layout of what we do has not changed. And the goal today is to really give you an idea of where you need to focus your energy on getting your budget items under control from the very beginning before you actually turn dirt on your build. Most people miss these items, okay? Now, it's not that the 60 line items are not important. All 60 of them are very, very important. And every $500, every $300, and every $1,000, it counts from the beginning to the end. Because if you think about it this way, if you have 60 line items that all in turn increase by $200, $300 for each item, and you just take 60 different line items times $200 per line item, that's $12,000 that you have just severed off of your bottom line. Some of those are going to be thousands of dollars in line items, and there'll be single line items that'll also increase by $12,000 all in themselves on these 12 large expense line items, provided you don't pay attention to them. So you have to back into these numbers, and I'm going to give you real numbers for the vast majority of 85% of the United States of what you need to be paying attention to right now in today's current market. Now, at the end of this, I'm going to also explain to you how and where to source the right contractors to get the numbers that I'm actually giving to you right here today. Now, let's go through the 12 largest expense items before we actually go through the numbers so that you know where we are and what we're looking at right now. Then we'll go through the numbers and then I'll explain to you how to actually source that labor. So let's start off with the dirt work. Now, there's obviously variables in dirt work, and who you hire and how you actually do the dirt work is very important. Now, a big question that comes up is, do I get soil tests or what's called geotechnical engineering? Now, I would definitely consult with your engineers and your city and municipal requirements. But yes, we do get geotechnical engineering on every one of our slabs just to ensure that we're doing the right thing for every single customer. But make sure that you're getting multiple bids on dirt, because the sophistication level of each person doing the dirt work is different. Hence, we've had instances where we've had dirt prices as high as $30,000 for a simple pad site, and we've gotten them done for $8,000. So always consult and make sure that you have the right dirt person that is going out and looking at the dirt and pricing it for you. Now, concrete foundations. You always have to go in, and it depends on your foundation. Does it make more sense to do floor joists? Does it make more sense to do a post-tension slab? Or does it make more sense to do a monolithic slab? The difference of the three, I would just get a price for all three. Do you need to know about all three of those right now? No. But if you're in areas that have high moisture, a lot of times you're going to do stem walls around the foundation, and you're not going to put a concrete slab right on the dirt. A lot of times they'll call out for what's called floor joists. That's what we do in Washington State and in a lot of coastal areas. Now, when we go in and we do the difference between a monolithic slab, which is just pouring the whole concrete foundation all at once, or post-tension, are a simple variance of how deep you want your footings and the structural integrity of it. Your architect and your engineer will call that out for you, but get prices on all of them so that you know what the best course of action and the best cost variable is for your actual concrete. Now, your framing. Most people don't realize that there's two major components of framing, and actually could be three. So framing takes up two of our top 12 largest expenses. One is the materials and two is actually the labor. But in the materials could be broken down into two prices. One for trusses and one for the materials to actually build the house and actually complete the entire construction of the framework itself. So you want to make sure that you have the trusses. Now, if you're doing trusses and you're not doing a monolithic slab, make sure you always consider the cost of the floor joists or the floor trusses, which are called floor joists, when you're actually looking at the prices for the truss package and the floor joists themselves. And make sure you take all three of those variables into consideration, but it still basically comes down to the cost of materials and the cost of labor, which are actually sourced by two different vendors. The person providing the labor typically doesn't pay for the materials. You do as the builder or the developer. So you want to make sure that you have those taken into consideration. Now, let's go on to line item number 4, which is plumbing. Plumbing is just going to be a bid item that you need to take into account. Now, a lot of it has to do with the quantity of fixtures in your actual dwelling. So just make sure that you have a fixture count that is within a threshold of reasonability. You start putting in bars and little wet bars, and you start putting in washing sinks in laundry rooms and sinks in the garages, that will start adding to your overall plumbing costs. But make sure you're bidding multiple contractors. Your mechanical, that's your heating and cooling system. Are you going with heat pumps? Are you going with split units? You can make those decisions alongside of your mechanical contractor. At the end of the day, you just want a good quality system to be able to provide your end buyer. Radiant heat had trended for a long time. It's not as trendy today because a lot of the units are super energy efficient today, and they actually do a really good job. And with open air laws and airflow, they actually have a really good allergenic component to them. So you can go with almost any type of heating and cooling system today, and it'd be a really good one, provided that you consult with your heating and cooling specialist to make sure that they're giving you the most bang for your buck and you're getting the best price for the best quality product, to make sure you have quality airflow through that house that you're building based on your square footage. Now, your electrical, okay? That's also fixture based, but you want to make sure that you're taking into account, do I have septic tanks? Do I have wells? And what other custom components or required components do I have on this build? But price out your electrical. Roofing. What is the type of roofing? Typically, we do flat roofs here in the Southwest with a little bit of Spanish tile, a little bit of metal on our roofs here and there. But you want to price out your roofing contractors and make sure you're competing apples to apples. There's what's called a modified 3-ply burr, which is just roll down tar. And there's a 4-ply where you put gravel over the top of it. Then there's also shingles, and there's architectural shingles or basic shingles. When you're getting bids for shingled roofing, make sure that you're getting the same bids depending on which type of roofing you're actually getting. Most people don't know this. They'll get a really good bid for a very inexpensive, cheap shingle, but it's not an architectural shingle that's of better quality. And if you're building $1 million home, you better have a good shingle on that house. Otherwise, it's your liability. Now, there's metal, there's tile, there's Spanish tile, there's flat roof tile. Bid the different materials and make sure you're comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges with each type of roofing material. There's TPO green roofs, which is a green roof that is now modified and people are using for energy efficiency, but there's also spray foam roofs as well. There's a lot of different roof types. Make sure that in your area, in your market, you know what roof types are the most popular for the similar type builds that you're building, and make sure, again, you're comparing apples to apples on those roof types. Windows and doors. One thing I always tell people is that windows and doors are a big cost variable. And when you go in and you're talking windows and doors, you got to put yourself in a position where you're not overspending on something that's not going to have a return on investment, which both items are very important. Now, let's use windows for sake of example. You can do wood clad, increasing your price 3x compared to what it would be just with a basic vinyl builder series windows, which PS, by the way, have to comply with the 2024 energy codes. And in 2026 or 27 or 28, whenever it is that you're watching this video, all window manufacturers have to comply with energy codes, making every single window quality very high quality, especially in today's market with the way energy codes are today. So just use vinyl grade windows. They're going to be of high quality. They're going to be of everything you need. And they don't sell homes, but they can cost you a lot more if you don't understand these basic concepts. Flooring and backsplash tiles, ceramic, porcelain, and wood. What is selling in your market? Flooring and labor of flooring could be a huge variable. Make sure you chop out your flooring and the type of flooring that you're actually using. Cabinets have been a source of expenses that we haven't been able to budget correctly over the last 3 years. Since COVID, cabinets have went up exponentially, where a cabinet package just 5 years ago cost us $14,000 for an entire home. For a custom crafted, hand-tailored cabinet just 5 years ago is now costing us over $35,000. There has been a 200% increase in cabinet costs over the last 5 to 6 years, and most people are not even aware of it. So how we source our cabinets today is very important, and where you're sourcing them from and who's actually building and manufacturing them. Landscaping and exterior finish out. That includes driveways, that includes egress, ingress, like curb cuts, your driveway approaches, and all of your landscaping. Most people won't put in backyard landscaping. I will tell you, if you're doing $1 million homes, you better consider doing a little bit of backyard landscaping, because that might make or break your sale if somebody else has a swimming pool and landscaping in the backyard and you don't. Now, for most homes that are $1 million or less, most people won't include landscaping in the backyard, but they'll do a nice, clean, finished out to the front yard on the actual landscaping. Now, let's talk about variances and let's talk about pricing on this. Considering a 2,600 square foot home on about 85% of the continental United States, dirt work on average is going to cost you about $10,000 per pad site. But like I said prior, it could get as high as $30,000, so you want to shop that. Now, concrete. For an average 2,600 square foot home with either a 2 or 3 car garage, front porch, back porch, you're going to spend about $35,000 for a foundation, but you can go up as high as $60,000 if you're not careful. So make sure you're shopping your trade professionals. Framing, materials are going to be pretty consistent throughout the market because it's a commodity. So make sure that you're shopping your materials. A lot of the local distributors are getting from a lot of the same manufacturers on lumber materials. You have to shop your trusses. We found that if we buy from third-party companies, even sometimes like Home Depot or Lowe's, we might save some money on our trusses as high as $2,000 to $5,000 on a simple truss package. Now, on lumber itself, we might be able to save as much as, 5%, but it's typically pretty modest from vendor to vendor because it is a real commodity. And a lot of it has to do with freight and where their lumber is getting sourced from and how much their freight costs to actually get it there. So we typically might see on an entire home of 2,600 square feet, an increased variance of $2,000 to $4,000 of material costs, still meaning that you should price it out from vendor to vendor. Now, when we talk about labor on a 2,600 square foot house is going to be at about $26,000 in today's current market. But if you go in and you shop it, you're going to be someplace between $22,000 and $35,000. But a good happy median is going to be about that $26,000, $27,000 mark for the cost of labor for a custom home. Okay, not a simple little tiny home that you're building that's tract style cookie cutter. This is a custom built home. Now, plumbing, $18,000. Mechanical, $18,000. Electrical, $21,000 to $23,000. Roofing, between $16,000 and $25,000, depending on what type of roof you're getting. You can get prices as high as $35,000 or more on roofing. Windows and doors, this is a major variance skew. Now, if you're in a market that has beautiful, gorgeous front steel doors with glass that are $5,000 to $7,000 a piece, and that's what sells those homes, well, you're going to be subjected to putting that in because that's what that market needs. But I'll tell you, a simple window package on average, $10,000. Be careful on your casement and awning windows. We try not to use them. We try to use a lot of fixed glass windows. In the mobile windows, we try to use either single hung, the ones that go slide up and down, or sliders, okay? And then flooring. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure when you guys are pricing flooring that you guys are going in and looking at the different products. Most of what you see in Home Depot, Floor and Decor, and a lot of your local suppliers are grade 1 tiles. And even if it's 89 cents or $3.89, sometimes it just has to do with the freight that brought that tile in that depicts the price, not the overall quality of that actual tile. Porcelain's porcelain, ceramic is ceramic. What's trending is trending, but you have to make sure that you're looking at it. And as long as it's a grade 1 tile, you're at a good place. That's a big variable for flooring and backsplash tiles in showers and shower surrounds as well. We talk about cabinets, and I just mentioned about cabinets earlier. Make sure you shop your cabinets, know who you're getting from, either prefab or make sure that you're getting them from a custom crafted cabinet maker that does good quality work. But your variance on cabinets can be anywhere from $28,000 as high as $60,000, and in some homes over $100,000 for cabinets. Know what your market needs and requires, and make sure you shop your vendors to make sure you're smart on your cabinet prices. And make sure your landscaping, ladies and gentlemen, you're not giving the whole house away and everything in it. You want to make sure that you keep it within a threshold of reasonability, but something clean, nice, and offers a little bit of green belt to your actual landscaping. Those are the 12 largest expense items that you have to pay attention to. But how do you source your labor for these guys to get the price variances to be within your favor? And what I always tell people, there's a lot of different contractors. When you open up, it's like playing put the tail on the donkey. If you're old enough to remember, pin the tail on the donkey, right? You blindfold yourself, you spin around, get dizzy, and then you get a tail and you try to pin it in the right spot on the donkey. Sometimes the tail lands up on the nose or on the stomach, but it needs to land up on the bottom end, right? When I talk about this, ladies and gentlemen, to hit the right demographics of contractors, it's not hard. But when you open up just Google and get any contractor, you don't even know what type of contractor you're getting. So I still recommend you do that, because you don't know what you don't know. And you might find a really good contractor that holds its value right off of Google and right out of all the search engine sites that produce good quality contractors like Angie's List or Angie, Service Magic, or Houses, or any of the good lead providers that are reputable. Okay, reputable lead providers. But in addition to that, where I find the vast majority of my labor is on other job sites, plain and simple. And so I just show up to other job sites and I go in early in the morning and I talk to the subcontractors that are there. I get La Jefe's phone number for most of them, and they give me the phone number of the boss, and I go in and I contact them, and I send them sets of prints, and I get prices from them. And I go into multiple subdivisions to get multiple bids, so I have multiple contractors in the same exact trade on each of these to make sure that I'm actually getting the best bang for my buck. And then the rest of the other line items, ladies and gentlemen, are just simple shopping. It's like going down to your local department store and shopping for a shirt. You just go in, you have to shop and look at ratings, look at reviews, and make sure that you're getting a good quality product for the right price. Ladies and gentlemen, click and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content just like this, to be able to buy land, build houses, and build multifamily for large profits. And make sure you pound that thumbs up button and give us a little bit of love before you leave this video right now. Pound that thumbs up button, click and subscribe. And if you're watching this a second time on repeat, put hashtag repeat, so I know you're looking, you're watching, you're learning, and ultimately going out and compounding your success.